You're with Left, Right and Centre this Thursday evening. I'm Ankita Mukherjee. Nobel Prize-winning economist Amartya Sen, who flew all the way from New York to India to cast his vote in Bolpur in West Bengal, said he did so because he considers this a very important election. When asked about the possibility of the BJP, led by Narendra Modi, winning these elections, Amartya Sen said, while there is good reason to be worried about Modi, who is certainly not his preferred choice of Prime Minister, there seems little cause for the liberal overreaction seen in recent days. He said since Prime Ministers can also be voted out. In recent weeks, academics, artists, thinkers, both in India and abroad, have argued that Modi as Prime Minister would threaten India's very future as a country that cherishes the ideals of inclusion. We're asking tonight, are the fears justified, or has there been a liberal overreaction to Modi?
So, Professor Sen, would you say there is a kind of liberal overreaction to Modi in the country?
I think you see, this is going to be the headline if I say that to you. I may well believe that there is perhaps a little of that. On the other hand, that's not the main story. There is a little bit of truth, but there is much more truth in a lot of other things, and there's enormous amount of truth in the fact that the liberals are worried, and they have good reason to be worried.
Okay.
I have a reason to be worried about what happens to the minority, not only what happens to them, but the security. You see, so much of it is seen in terms of actually whether somebody is physically manhandled or not, or killed, as in the case of Gujarat riots. Now, leaving out that issue on which many questions remain, but the issue is not just whether he killed people or not, or whether he participated in that or not, but it is also whether he generates fear in the mind of people.
Results, May 16th is just about 10 days away now, 2 weeks away. Do you feel if indeed we are the NDTV polls and the popular vote, the BJP is saying, are you hopeful? What are the things that are you hopeful about India? And
you're saying what you didn't complete is that if the polls are right, and if Modi
becomes Prime Minister, which many people are saying that it is a reality.
It would not be the result I would have thought. It is not the result that I would think to be best for India. Is it completely doomed, and for how long, I don't know. Can Modi learn who would be his advisors? I don't mean economic advisor, only political advisor. There are many forces within the BJP. It is, after all, a national party. It's not going to be my party because I don't like a party which begins with a religious connection. But on the other hand, we'll have to watch how it goes. It's not something that I desire to see, but I wouldn't like to damn it from beforehand. And you know, damnation comes in different degrees. So what degree of damnation that would be, I just don't know. On the other hand, if they come to office as an Indian citizen and wanting the good of my people, I would like him to be a benign ruler and learn from intelligent advice and treat every citizen to be equal, no matter what their communal or religious background is.
Amartya Sen talking to my colleague Sunitra Chaudhary earlier in the day. Well, joining us on this discussion tonight, Manishankar Iyer, Senior Congress Leader, Pawan Verma, Writer and Cultural Advisor to the Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar, Zafar Sareshwala, Gujarat entrepreneur and someone who's been very vocal about Gujarat shining in a sense. We're also going to be joined by the BJP's Pinky Anand in a moment. But Manishankar Iyer, let me come to you first. And my question is a little different. Do you believe, you know, the doomsday prophecies in a sense have actually helped Narendra Modi's cause? Have the liberal voices been complicit in turning this entire election into a referendum about just Narendra Modi alone, subsuming all other issues?
I think Amartya Sen answered your question. There was a leading question put to him as to whether there's been a liberal overreaction. He said, I don't want to answer that question because it'll make the headline. You made it the headline. I think he said that maybe a little. And then he pointed out that because we are a democracy, it is entirely possible that even if Modi wins, that he doesn't win by a sufficient margin to be Modi, to be the Modi that we've seen in Gujarat, that maybe this Gulliver will be tied down by a lot of Lilliputs. So when you ask me, what will India be like? Is it damned under Modi? I would say it depends upon whether our electorate damns ourselves. If Modi comes to power with a sufficiently large majority, then I really fear for the country. But if, as I believe, he will not come to power, or if I'm wrong and he comes to power with lots of others hanging around him, then the only outcome will be a completely unstable government that will lead to a Lok Sabha election before 2016. So, as Amartya said, it depends upon the degree of damnation. I think it is the first degree of damnation should he get elected as Prime Minister, but it will be much, much worse if he becomes a Prime Minister without any constraints. I think that last scenario is most unlikely.
All right, you may think it's unlikely, the opinion polls clearly don't. Zafar Sareshwala, as someone who has been a very, very vocal proponent of not just the Gujarat model of development, but really the entire state shining, as a supporter of Narendra Modi, what do you say to, the people who argue that Gujarat shining stops at the entrance to the Muslim ghetto of Juhapura? That Mr. Modi allowed riots to take place under his watch. He didn't visit relief camps. He didn't even express regret that he can never be the uniting figure that even an Atal Bihari Vajpayee was.
Look, I am seeing from a prism beyond 2002. After 2002, I mean, we observe the conduct of Modi and the government of Gujarat beyond 2002. It's not that people have forgotten and all that. It is there. What had happened was horrific. 1,400 people died. All that was there. My family was the biggest victim of the riot. All that was there. But I don't think there is, yes, I believe that there is quite a bit of overreaction. Because then if people start thinking and show the fear of Modi, then they are actually questioning the democracy of India. We have enough checks and balances in our system. We have a very robust constitution. We have democratic institutions, for God's sake. We have our judiciary. And there would be 543 MPs. So I don't think Modi or anybody can be fearful for anybody. And we, or I as a Muslim, judges Modi by what has happened in last 12 years. Gujarat has been absolutely peaceful. We know Gujarat before 2002, every decade, there would be a major riot in 2-3 years. We have seen 200 days of curfew. This is the first decade where there has not been a single day of curfew.
That seems to be,
whatever growth has happened.
That seems to be Narendra Modi's argument as well as the BJP's.
But this growth certainly has been inclusive and Muslims have also equally prospered. There's no doubt about it.
Okay. Zafar Sareshwala makes the point that this is an inclusive government. Pawan Verma, you don't see any kind of liberal overreaction over here. Reports, in fact, today saying that the Janata Dal United has even said it will actually actively campaign for Arvind Kejriwal in Varanasi against Mr. Modi. If you'd like to confirm those reports for us and indeed also bear upon the larger picture we're discussing.
Ankita, there's no mechanical calculus to calculate what is overreaction and what is underreaction. I think the right word is, and I have great faith in our democracy, I don't disagree with what Zafar said, but I think the right word is some strong degree of concern, and I'll explain to you why. You see, as an ancient civilization, a great civilization which has over millennia assimilated many diverse enrichments, and as a claimant to be a civilized nation, I think we have no option but to respect all religions. In fact, 1948 is when Nehru wrote to the chief ministers of India and said, coexistence is not an option but a compulsion in a country like India. Now, if there is an apprehension that there could be a government which is less than sensitive to this, or even worse, is based on an ideological belief that you can actually come to power at the helm of this country on a permanent religious polarization, I believe it's dangerous for this country. I believe it will bedevil governance, and I believe it will create completely unnecessary reasons for instability, suspicion and violence. Therefore, I say to you, it is not a question, liberal opinion often overreacts, I agree, and it's often very fashionable to be liberal. But the contrary is equally true, that illiberal opinion is hardcore, based on fanatical and fundamentalist conviction. And I am afraid of such forces being empowered without the restraining touch of a leader who by instinct and temperament carries with him all the people of India. That is the concern.
All right. Okay. Pinky Anand, respond to that. Pawan Verma clearly, as many other people have also articulated, believes that Narendra Modi is not that uniting figure who can carry, all of India along with him. You will dismiss liberal fears as scaremongering, I know. But would you also admit that in a backhanded sort of way, they've actually helped the BJP by really, contributing to this personality cult around Mr. Modi?
No, the question is not of this continuing this personality cult around Mr. Modi. The BJP had categorically decided that Mr. Modi is going to lead this entire election fray, and Mr. Modi has the potential, has shown his capacity and has developed Gujarat in a fashion which befits his leading the Bharatiya Janata Party into the 2014 election. And I think time has shown, the wave and the tsunami has shown, in fact, that Modi ji is unparalleled by anybody, and of course anybody is a very, in the other parties I'm saying, of course, that nobody is even remotely close to him. Having said that, these apprehensions, 2002, this is so typical of everybody to raise these balloons down the way, which I think balloons have burst. The factum, like Zafar said, the fact that after 2002, for a moment, let's just, keep 2002 in abeyance for a moment, and we go beyond that. We are in 2014 today. Gujarat has shown unmistakably an amazing development on all fronts. I mean, maybe one or two fronts you might find certain discrepancies which you can point out, but overall nobody can dispute that Gujarat has done tremendously well and has led, at least in the major way, the states of the country, and as far as going forward is concerned. Having said that, the question is the attempt of anybody is to show that Mr. Modi is not inclusive. I'm afraid that is just, as I said, a balloon which is attempted to be burst and which is showing it's how frail it is, the entire situation. In fact, it has been the UPS philosophy to try and bring this scaremongering, this fear psychosis across, and by that to try to wean away the community.
Okay, now
Pinky
Anand, let me put this to you. Would better roads necessarily mean that there will be no longer any fear among minorities? That's a point that Amartya Sen also made, in a sense, in his interview today. Manishankar Iyer, come in. Why does this always become this kind of reductionist debate between secularism and development? And isn't it kind of rather dangerous to posit these as mutually exclusive options?
One estimate of what happened in the last Gujarat Assembly elections is that 77% of the Muslims did not vote for Mr. Modi. It shows that Mr. Zarosh constitutes a minority of a minority, and that the vast majority of Muslims in Gujarat look upon Mr. Modi with deep suspicion. My second point is that the treatment of the tribals there has been so dreadful that whereas the population of tribals in Gujarat is about 8% of the population, 76% of those who have been displaced are scheduled tribes. Third, we've seen how in Kutch there has been this ruthless elimination of Punjabi Sikh farmers who have been there for decades, and their lands were simply taken away. We have a model of development where the rate of growth, may I finish, where the rate of growth under Modi is lower than it had been under Chimanbhai Patel. Gujarat has had a big boom in agriculture because Rajiv Gandhi insisted on the Sardar Sarovar Dam, and when the World Bank refused the funding, Narasimha Rao came in and the Government of India completed the project. He's just lucky that the Sardar Sarovar Dam was commissioned in the same year that he became the Chief Minister of Gujarat. So the performance of Maharashtra, of Tamil Nadu, of several other states, even on economic indicators, is superior. And on social indicators, Gujarat at 15
it's not even, this is not a debate about
disjunct between economic performance.
Be that as it may, this is not a debate about development in Gujarat, but I'm merely...
Gujarat model is a desirable model.
All right. But Pavan Verma, why do we... Yes.
Ankita, I want to say one thing to you. I say that suppose Mr. Modi's model of development in Gujarat was suppose suboptimal even. I would give him the benefit of doubt of having made a good effort and having not been able to probably do more on terms of development. But when that polarity is created that it's development, and don't talk of any other issue, don't talk of something as simple and as transparently obvious in a country like India as religious and social harmony. Don't talk of that. Let's talk of development, let's talk of nationalism. Then it becomes a rather brittle, black and white scenario for a country of the kind of diversities of India. So that is a concern. It's a very legitimate concern.
Okay, legitimate concern, but there are many, Pavan Verma.
Let me add to one sentence.
Try to bring about this divisive situation. As far as
one sentence only to Pinky.
What is this?
Pinky.
When you talk about development across board without making any difference between any communities, you say it is not inclusive. I am unable to understand how you can even make such an argument.
I'll tell you, Pinky, I can only say this without going further, that perhaps it is the style of the BJP supreme leader. I genuinely believe that he could have done more to allay the fears or suspicions of people of different faiths in this country. Let us give him the benefit of
doubt. He could have done more to allay fears and he didn't. But Pavan Verma,
which is leading the whole country astray.
Pavan Verma, there are many who believe...
talking about two different sections is itself divisive.
Okay, fair enough, Pinky, but there are many, Pavan Verma, who believe that if Narendra Modi became Prime Minister, he can't afford to have riots on his watch. That perhaps liberals have more to fear than minorities. Is that a view you would agree with?
No, I want to try to avoid categorizations. It's not about liberal versus minority, Ankita. It's about
no, I'm not talking about
as a whole.
Either or, but really is in a sense freedom of speech, freedom of thought, and
Ankita, we are not in this
ideas of a particular
Please
India.
Believe me.
Yes.
Yeah, Ankita, we are not in this country for a frozen peace. We are in this country for a celebration of plurality, and believe me, this celebration is not antithetical to governance and good governance.